Hello, welcome back here into Cayden's Weather Center. It's been a little bit since we've done a video here. Going to start uploading a little bit more here. Got a lot going on, but we're going to keep an eye out, obviously, on the weather. And I'm going to post frequent video updates. I do have a couple announcements for the end of the video here that will be coming to Cayden's Weather Center here. We're going to have a little bit of changes. Definitely some good changes, I would say. This will be starting probably most likely tomorrow. So a lot to be paying attention to with the updates as well. We're going to be seeing a little bit of a change, but I'll talk about that in the end of the video. Let's talk about the severe weather threat right now that we're dealing with. We're paying attention to a little bit of a severe weather threat today and going into tomorrow. The biggest threat will be into tomorrow for August 26th here. We're seeing a little bit of a different type of scenario here that we haven't seen really throughout all of August. So we're seeing a little bit of a different scenario here. We have a slight risk area right over here, and we have a enhanced risk as well. We haven't seen an enhanced risk here in August. This does include Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, and we're going to continue to pay attention to that enhanced risk for the possibility for really strong winds that we could be seeing with possible some supercells that could form. Same with hail. Our tornado threat is up there that we need to keep an eye out on it, but it's not a major tornado outbreak or anything like that. So we're going to continue to pay attention to this, though, especially if you live in Minneapolis and all that and you are traveling. Please be making sure you're paying attention to also the weather when you're driving through on these interstates as well, because we could be seeing a little bit of flooding as well, depending on how strong these storms are and how much rain could they dump really in an hour here. But taking a look here at the enhanced area, even though if you're in the marginal risk, you're going to get some pretty strong storms, maybe just not as severe as what the slight and enhanced risk could be. So really the enhanced area right here is more of a focus on where majority of these storms and the biggest threat for possibilities of tornadoes, wind and hail are our biggest concern. And this main area right here starts to kind of weaken or less chances here of getting a possible tornado, stronger winds. When you go out the slight marginal, it's more less likely than the enhanced area, but we're going to keep an eye out obviously still on these areas because we're still going to see some strong storms in these areas. So if we're talking about Wisconsin, we have some cities that are in there. Nebraska, we have all these areas right here. The good thing is this isn't impacting too many cities. Yes, Minneapolis is in there and could be definitely seeing some storms, and we'll talk about that shortly here. But you can kind of see with Iowa, Des Moines is right on the outside, Cedar Rapids is right on the outside, Chicago not too far from it as well. But something to pay attention to, because as these storms move off, we're going to continue to see them move down kind of to the southeast, and we're not going to possibly see as much of storms the next day after this, but it's something to pay attention to because we could be seeing some overnight threats for severe weather. So according to this model, this is the HRR model, HRRR model here. This is what we're anticipating. So right now, as we can clearly see, we do have a little bit of a severe weather threat that is continuing on right now for today, heading on to the evening, and will continue on throughout the next couple of hours. And you kind of can see where those storms kind of are. We already have, a couple severe thunderstorm warnings that have popped up. No tornado warnings. That is some good news right there. Then we head into the next couple of hours. Yes, we see a little bit of a storm right here at around maybe 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 Central tonight. Yes, that storm right now is not going to be associated with the big severe weather threat, though. So let's go into the severe weather threat. If you watch this area right over here, this is our biggest area right now that we want to keep an eye out on. Then we watch the severe weather start to possibly pick up. So 11 a.m. tomorrow here, this is Eastern time, so 10 a.m. Central. Definitely could be seeing a possibility for some very strong storms heading through northern South Dakota, but the worst is yet to come still. For the next couple of hours, we can see heading into the afternoon, 2 p.m., we can kind of see a little bit of those storms starting to intensify a little bit more as it heads into a little bit more of a favorable environment. Then we start to see even though this storm very intense, and that is the enhanced risk, that's why it's there, we're going to see some strong hail and possibly some gusty winds with it. We're not looking at a possible derecho or anything, so that's at least some type of good news right there. But no matter what, we're going to see that severe weather threat. And that blue right there and that pink is very strong storms right there that we want to keep an eye out on. But look at this. So even though these storms start to possibly, spread apart from each other, we still continue to see some very strong storms here at around 9 p.m. tomorrow night. We're going to see these go overnight as well, and that is when the worst part of these storms will do its, really start to blow up here. And we kind of can see that. So around 12 a.m. Eastern time, 11 p.m. Central, strong storms. Even though you're not in the enhanced risk, you still have some strong storms over here in parts of northern Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota. Even though you are partly in the slight risk, you could still be seeing some pretty strong storms here. This obviously is our biggest threat right here that we're keeping an eye out on. That's our biggest threat, and then we're going to continue to pay attention to it as we go on throughout the next couple of hours. This is going to be an overnight issue, so could we have a possible live stream? Possibly, but heading into Tuesday morning, we see that severe weather threat kind of pushes off to the east here in Wisconsin. You guys could be dealing with some possible severe weather threat. Then possibly heading into Tuesday afternoon, we still see a pretty big line here of Michigan storms that we'll be paying attention to as we go on, and that will continue on to race possibly into parts of Canada. And the question is, how far does this get, how strong does it get before reaching the possible northeast? So we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on this, but our main focus for tomorrow is really in this region right here for some pretty strong storms. So taking a look here back at the enhanced risk, we can clearly see slight risk continuing on over here in this region right here. We're going to keep an eye out obviously on that. The enhanced risk will still be in this area. The tornado threat, a little bit of a 5% chance for a tornado here, kind of in a 25-mile radius here. We can clearly see that there is a 5% chance, 2% chance obviously more for that slight risk and the enhanced risk, so not too big of a tornado threat. Obviously, they did update the wind threat. I could clearly see this little dashed area. That is some very significant to severe wind that we could be seeing. And same thing with the hail, really in this area. So we could be seeing some pretty big hail, pretty strong winds, possibly reaching up to 60, 70 mile an hour winds with wind gusts especially too. Taking a look here at the future model. This is a future model of the radar and what we're anticipating here, and what this model is anticipating. So heading into around 10 hours from now, we can kind of clearly see there's that severe weather that we're already paying attention to today. Then we head into a little bit more going into tomorrow here, 17 hours out. This is your time right here. Storms starting to pop up right in this region. A little bit of storms popping up over here in northern Minnesota. Then we head on over here into around 24 hours, 28 hours. Strong storms over here and heading to the south Minnesota, and then South Dakota really is going to get hammered with some pretty strong storms with some possible flooding as well. Heading into 30 hours out, we can clearly see one storm system right here and then a possible another storm system according to this model here, the high res. We're going to keep an eye out obviously on that as we go on throughout into early Tuesday morning. That's when we're going to see these storms really start to hammer parts of some of these states here. So really tomorrow night is where you want to be off the roads. You're not wanting to be outside or anything like that. You want to keep an eye out just in case if you are under any warnings especially too. So you want to keep that phone active and make sure the alerts are turned on. Still tomorrow night, expecting some possible two storms over here, two big lines of storms that we could be seeing here. Heading into 40 hours, starts to die down a little bit, but according to this model, possibly 2 p.m. on Tuesday or 2 a.m. on Tuesday, we could be seeing some pretty strong storms still going on here. So this could be a multi-hour event. It will continue on for the next 48 hours, and then it will start to push off to the east, heading into parts of northern Michigan and Canada. Then we take a look here at the tornado, the significant tornado threat possibilities here. We take a look at this really closely here. We have this 12 hours out right now, 14 hours out, heading into 19. Starts to die down a little bit as we head into Monday morning tomorrow. So there is a slight risk for a tornado today, but not too big of a threat. This is where we're seeing it a little bit more heading into tomorrow evening, tomorrow night. That is our biggest possibility for a tornado. Obviously, it's not the most biggest threat, but definitely something we want to pay attention to. Then we keep an eye out, obviously, on it right there. And then 37 hours out, this heading into Monday night, we can see a little bit of orange in these areas. That is our best possibility for a possible tornado. So there's the tornado threat is still there. Then it will start to dissipate after 48 hours, and really will just start to be kind of a weather storm threat, and that's what we're anticipating after that as well. But definitely the tornado threat is there, so we want to keep an eye out obviously on that. The lightning threat as well is still there, as we're going to continue to pay attention to that tomorrow. You can clearly see some storms will come over here, push down to the south, and then we'll see a lot of lightning activity in southern Minnesota, possible northern Iowa here, and will continue to move off to the east as well. But heading into these hours, we're going to see a lot of lightning. So definitely not wanting to be outside. You can see this will be one storm that we're paying attention to, and then another storm right after that. Those lines of storms that we could be seeing a lot of lightning according to this model. So something to pay attention to. Taking a look at the precipitation, definitely, because there is a couple interstates that are involved with this. Definitely want to keep an eye out, obviously, on that very closely here. Going into around 24 hours from now, we can already start to see some possible flash flooding. Could be a concern here in parts of southern South Dakota here, going into parts of northern Nebraska. Then we have heavy rain, not too heavy, but still some rain that we definitely would, have to pay attention to. So ponding could be something on these roadways here. Heading into 34 hours out, we can see 1.1 inches of rain could be anticipated here in northern South Dakota, and then Minnesota really getting into parts of that. We could be seeing possible up to maybe almost 2 inches of rain. Then we head into 41 hours out. We're seeing an inch of rain here in parts of Minnesota. Seeing an inch of rain over here in Minnesota, 1.3 in southern Minnesota here, and then 1.1 inches here in northern South Dakota. So something to pay attention to. And then we head into 48 hours here. We could possibly be seeing in some of these areas, possibly almost 2 inches of rain in certain areas right here, and then possibly in this region right here, heading into northern Michigan as well. We could still be seeing it very closely. So something to be paying attention to as we go on. Not Michigan, I mean Wisconsin. That's my bad. Wisconsin could be seeing some very, very strong storms with bringing some heavy amounts of rainfall in this region right here. Then we want to keep an eye out, obviously, on this area right here, because that could be bringing some flash flooding threats. So we're going to keep an eye out, obviously, on that. So, we're going to watch the severe weather threat. We haven't done a severe weather threat video in a little bit here, and now we're getting them back out there because there is a possible severe weather threat. There hasn't been too big of severe weather threats in the past here. Not too long ago, there's hasn't been a lot. So we're going to continue to pay attention to them now. And then the tropics, when is the tropics going to wake up? We are going to pay attention to that. I will have a lot of information down in the description of what I am adding on to Cayden's Weather Center every evening. I'm hoping to get out starting possibly tomorrow or maybe even Tuesday. I'm starting to bring out where tropical weather outlooks will come out later on at nighttime, so 8 p.m. Eastern time. I would say we're going to have a little bit of tropical weather outlooks that I'm going to post every video and talk about the tropics and what is happening in the Atlantic, the Eastern Pacific, and the Central Pacific, as well as posting it every morning on my X page with the severe weather threat as well. So adding on a little bit of stuff there. Still thinking about other situations too to add on to what we can make Cayden's Weather Center a little bit better today and going in throughout the future. And I'm hoping I can get some brand new graphics here for the live streams and get all the live streams set up as well, and as well as getting the videos all set up as well and making them a little bit better for you guys as well. But I want to say thank you so much for watching here, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. And if you do live in a severe weather threat zone or a possible tropical weather threat, as we've been paying attention to Hawaii tropical or Hurricane Hone now, if you've been living in Hawaii and you are having heavy rainfall, make sure not to drive through any waters, but please make sure you are staying safe out there in Hawaii and the severe weather threat area. Make sure to stay safe, and thank you so much for watching here, and I am so glad that you guys are watching the video. So please make sure you guys are leaving a like and subscribing for more frequent updates. Follow my X page down in the description for more updates here, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.